Because I have to see the link first. So you're going live, Steph. I don't know where the link is. That's another question. That's a very good question. I need to also let you join so that I'm sure whether you can hear me or not. If she's unable to join, well, we'll flash it down and move on. Oh, I hope I'm not closed the. I hope I'm not closed the link. I hope I'm not going to close the Google link. I think I've closed it too. No, the Google one, not your own. Somebody has joined. Who is the person? Is it you? Okay, so can you hear me? Tell Chika too so she can. Ah, okay, she can't join me. That's it. Too late. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah? I'm talking. Can you hear me? Okay. You add say something. I mean, on the comment so that I can see if I can hear me meet your people. I don't know what's going on. Agnes, I don't know if we can edit this thing before we post it. When we finish, we can edit because there's a lot of minutes of the. Have you seen the link? Are you on the group? We sent the link on the group now. Can you join? It's not Telegram. It's YouTube. Okay, Telegram group, have you? Oh, okay. Sure, you send it to her first. Okay, okay, okay. So I need to see if I can. If I need to present, let me see what's going on to happen. My window is not. My PowerPoint is not open though. There's a large one. Where is it? I don't remember when my PowerPoint is like this, and I think I've closed it. Serious. It has to be here, Sha. Costing class. Okay. I think I've seen it. It's echoing. It's echoing. Oh. Maybe we should open down, put stuff, or move it back. And I've said you should open the door. And then move the fan back. Yes, because it's hot. You're making it too. It's too. Reduce the. Hey, hey. Okay, we're about to start. Okay, I was trying to see if. So can you hear me? Agnes, nobody else has joined you. Agnes, what's going on? And where is this girl? Hello, anyone who is around? We're just trying to wait for a few more people to join. Has anybody joined? I can't. It's only you. I can only see. Oh, okay. Me is contributor. I'm looking at. I can't see. Where do I see the five? Okay. Okay. So we're just waiting for a few more people before we start. Thank you for coming to our costing class. Please, you can say hello on the live on the comment section, so I know who is around. This I'm the only one here. Oh, Oh, in the call. Maybe it's the call you're talking about. Oh, sorry. I've been looking at something else. Okay, I'm looking at something else. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for coming. So we'll start the class in about 2 minutes. We just wait for one or two more people. So please, I don't hope these are my students. So the dessert, like a pro class, how has it been so far? Have you guys been able to practice? Can you give me some feedback? Okay, I think we'll start. So we're going to use PowerPoint slides for the class. So this is the costing class, and we're going to show you how to cost for your desserts or for your cakes and the little mistakes we bakers tend to make that doesn't help us to be profitable. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can see the PowerPoint slides. trying to choose. Hold on. So let me know if you can see. Can you see it normally? Okay, so we will not waste too much time. So you're here to learn how to price your desserts or your cakes for profit. And so we want to start. Who is this class for? It's for anybody who is a home baker, who is struggling with making profits, or a small bakery owner trying to grow, or someone who can produce desserts but cannot cost it, or anyone confused about pricing. So basically anyone. I remember when I started my baking career about 10 years over 10 years ago. Costing was one of the major challenges. I wonder, has anybody done it? A customer calls you and you want to give them a price, and yeah, trying to guess why or how I should price. So at this class, what we're going to learn the difference between costing and pricing. What's the difference? Then five key elements that we need to be aware of when we are costing, either for desserts or cakes, how to calculate your profits, and then we will now also walk through our costing template, which we are going to give to everybody who came here and watched our live. So basically, what is costing? So costing is what it costs to produce the item, and pricing is what you charge your customers. So costing is ingredients and everything else you use to produce your item. Pricing includes your profits. That is what we should use to differentiate them. So that helps you to protect your profit and helps you to be able to scale. When I mean scale, it means to be able to expand. You're going to need more staff, you're going to need a bigger place. You need to plan to scale. So you need to have money that you're saving because you want to scale. So some of the costing mistakes that you need to avoid is guessing prices or comparing prices. We've all been guilty about it. We go to a fellow baker and ask, oh, for your 18 cheesecake, how much is it? And they give a price, and you just assume, oh, that means I should cost the same way. There's so many reasons why that is wrong. First of all, their price, how they buy is different from you. For example, if you are comparing yourself to a big bakery who buys in bags and you buy in kilos, your pricing is not the same. Your cost is not the same. Then again, another thing we do is we ignore other expenses like maybe packaging. We forget to cost that, forgetting that we have to use money to buy it. We also forget to include your labor. If you are the main baker and decorator, you are not paying yourself. Then how do you grow? Then undercharging for bulk or event work. Sometimes because we want to get a job or an event, we undercharge. So this pricing class will help you to guard against that. So the five costing elements that we need to remember are, of course, the one that I'm sure every baker knows: ingredients, your flour, sugar, butter, using your recipe. I'm sure we all know that. Um, then our packaging, that's one thing that most of us forget. The labor cost, either yourself, if you have a staff, the cost. For example, if you have a staff for yourself, how much do you want to be able to earn at the end of the month? You need to put that into consideration. Then your utilities and your rent. My home bakers are very guilty about that. Utilities, your gas. It's not your husband, the gas you're supposed to use for your kitchen, for your house. You're meant to do that. You are supposed to charge for your gas, charge for electricity that you're going to use, start to charge for your rent. When you decide you want to move out of your home, or you've moved out of your home, if you've been able to pay rent at the beginning of the year, when the year runs out, are you not going to pay it back? Then logistics, transportation, either people delivering your raw ingredients. So you need to talk about, you have to remember to factor that into your costing. So we'll also break each of them down so you just have an idea of what we mean. I want to know if you understand this so far and if you have any questions. Listen, please let me check if there's any questions. Anybody makes any comment, let me know. Okay, so let's go into our ingredients. Now, a lot of us don't like maths, but we need to know what the ingredients cost us. So, for example, if a bag of flour costs 65,000, we need to know how much does 1 kg cost? How much does 1 gram cost? When we do this, we can now factor in our recipe and do the costing. So, let me see. I think below we did a sample. There's a question? Okay, what's the question? So, yes, for delivery, it also includes that. However, um, you know that where you're delivering your cake differs. So, for example, if you live on the mainland and you are delivering on the island, the cost is very different from if you are delivering on the mainland. So, that is a little easier to um, determine once you have taken the order. So, if, for example, I take a birthday cake and I'm in Magodo, I'm delivering somebody in Lausa, and I use Uber to deliver. In Lausa, maybe they'll take 5,000 naira. But if I'm going all the way to VI, they may take 12,000 naira. So, that really differs. You can't factor that into your initial cost. What you can factor is I am going to buy my ingredients, and two things. Either I am going to use a dispatch to bring everything, my flour, sugar, eggs, or I'm going myself to go and come back. I should factor in how much I spent on petrol if I had to go with a car, or factor in how much I had to spend on transportation. I don't know if that is clear. So, for delivery of the final product, that will come after you have spoken to your customer. They're planning to make payments. You have asked for the delivery location and you have determined the delivery location. One hack that I normally use if I am the one delivering, I use Uber or InDrive to put in the address to have an idea of how much it will cost, you know, to take that cake, to deliver the cake there before I give my pricing. Remember that if you are delivering it yourself with your car, you are going there and you're coming back. So it's even twice the cost. So it gives me a good idea of how much I should charge. I don't know if that's clear. Okay, so um let's go back to our sample for this one was red velvet, but I think I'll show you one for that we did on the template that will make it a lot clearer. Can you see the Excel sheet? Okay. So this is the recipe that you guys have for our waffles. If you look at it here, under quantity used, that's the recipe, the amount, the ingredients that you used. Now, some of them are in grammage, some are in pieces like eggs. We weren't using grams, and some are in teaspoons. But generally, I like to try to convert most of my ingredients units to grams. If you're not sure, for example, what's the if for example, let's try baking powder. You may say that you're using 1 teaspoon in your recipe. If you're not sure the if you're converting it to grams, just go to Google and tell it convert 1 teaspoon of baking powder to grams, and it will help you do that. And so you can now fill in this template. We are going to send the link to you for you to have this template. So, for example, for our one recipe that we use to get to serve 10 guests in our waffles, this is the recipe. Your flour is 190 grams, sugar 150 grams, baking powder, salt, milk. So these are all the recipes. Then this is the unit cost. If we go back to our PowerPoint slide, the example we gave for flour, I know that from the market, 50 grams, 50 kg of flour costs 65,000 naira. So I now had to calculate how much 1 gram, 1 kg will cost and how much 1 gram will cost. If you see here, 1 gram cost 1 naira and 30 kobo. So yes, even though you don't like maths, please, you need to do this at least once. If you do this once, you can always go back and compare it. You can always go back and say, okay, this is how much it costs. This is the size of cake or this amount of dessert I want to make. So this is the cost price. It may be a bit tiring, but it's very, very important. If not, there are many times I've done a cake where I thought my pricing was great, and at the end, I actually made a loss because my ingredients cost so much more than I anticipated. So after you've sorted out your ingredients, like I said here, this is not all. There are other things you need to factor into. So let's go to labor. We mentioned labor. Like I said, how much do you want to earn if you are the main person baking and decorating the cake? How much do you want to earn? So if, for example, you say, "Oh, I'm a home baker. I'm just starting. So let me just earn 50K per month." And your working hours, you assume your working hours, you have 6 hours per day to work. You need to calculate how much an hour you want to charge for an hour. So, for example, if I'm charging 2,000 per hour here, now for any cake or dessert I'm going to make, I need to have an idea of how long it will take for me to make it. And that's how I can determine what my labor is. So, I am collecting money from what I am making so that at the end of the month, I can pay myself or pay your staff. So, if you have a staff that you're paying 50,000 naira, you're going to calculate, okay, he works for me 20 days in a week. So it's 50,000 naira divided by 20 days will tell you per day how much this person you need to save to pay this person. And you can now divide that amount amongst all the desserts or cakes that you're going to make. The next thing you also need to think about is your utilities. Utilities are gas, electricity, and then you need to think about your rent. Like we said, always add a little portion to every item you are making. So let's look at desserts, for example. The good thing about a dessert buffet product is you are making for a bulk number of people. So you're making for 30 people, you're making for 50 people, you're making for 100 people. You need to plan how many days is it going to take for me to make this? How much of my rent am I going to take out of, am I going to collect from this particular job that I'm doing? So if it takes 2 days for me to prepare for my desserts of 50 people. Is it 10% of my rent, of my daily rent that I'm going to keep aside? I have to put factor into my costing. Your utilities, your gas, electricity, because you have to be able to um, refill or buy back electricity, buy back gas, pay for rent when it is due. So please, you need to start taking that into consideration. Do not only focus on ingredients. It's not enough. So, like I said, when I talked about transportation, there are two types. But the main one I'm talking about here is how much did it cost me to bring my raw materials to me. Remember to cost that. Then we now talked about the final one, markup, how to make profit. Your markup versus margin. How do we differentiate that? I differentiate it in terms of my margin is the lowest amount of money I must make over my cost. So after I factored in ingredients, factored in the staff, or how much I as the labor needs to earn, how much extra, what is the minimum amount? We have customers that love to price. So we have to have a boundary that, okay, I can go this low and not lower than this. So for example, here the markup can be just 10%. I mean the minimum margin can be 10%. Meanwhile, you can say, but my normal markup should be 30%. So if I've costed everything for a cake slice and it costs 1.5, I can say my markup on it is 30%. But if somebody's pricing, so for example, they want to buy in bulk, I can reduce my markup to 20% or 15%, but lowest 10%. I won't go lower than 10%. So it's always good to have planned all this before your customer calls you. It's very, very difficult when your customer is calling you, oh, please, how much is this? How much is that? You want to start calculating. It doesn't work. Well, for me, it doesn't work. I always end up shortchanging myself. So what I try and do is I know the products I have that I can make, and I start to scale by costing everything down. So I have an idea of what's my an 8 inches single layered cake. I have an idea of what it costs. My waffles for 20 people, I know how much it costs. The, excuse me, the ice cream, I know how much it costs. Red velvet. So for example, in the class that we did, the recipe that we gave you for red velvet, we've told you that you can cut it up you can bake it in a 10 inches square pan, and you can cut it off to make up to 20 to serve 20 people. So you can easily cost and know for red velvet, this is the amount I charge for one. This is the cost price for the single square of red velvet that I'm going to serve. So this is my markup on my customers, or this is the profit that I would like to make from that dessert I'm making. So we will still go back to the template so that we can just see it in more detailed. So because so if you wanted to know what your selling price of your waffles are, for example, so we've said cost of materials, labor costs, your utilities, and your rent. All this is what, and your packaging. Cost of materials includes packaging, and all this is what is called your total cost. At this point, you have not made any profit. If this is the amount they give you, you have just broken even. So now you now want to be profitable. So what is your markup? So what is your quote unquote maximum price that you will love them to pay you, your customer to pay you? Then what is the minimum price you can accept from your customer? Many customers will come and say, oh, I will advertise you. I will make you popular. That's great. But please, it must not go lower than your margin price, your margin markup. so that you can make some profit. If not, you will not grow. If you were able to save money and pay for your store, after 1 year, after 2 years, you need to pay up. So you must have been saving your rent. How are you going to do that if you do not have a profit? So your markup, either 30%, it can be 50%, it can be 70%. You now have your selling price. Now, some people like to compare, like I said before, prices of fellow bakers. Yes, you can. You can check it, but you should do that after you have done your costing. So it allows you have a good idea of where you stand. This person charges is going was planning to charge 30,000 naira for this cake. I did my costing and I did my markup and I'm paying and I can charge 15,000 naira. Okay, they charge 30. Two things can happen. You can say, okay, I will increase my money a bit and see if they will pay, the customer will pay, or I will stay at my 15,000 naira and I'm comfortable knowing that um, even though my price is not as high as the other person, I'm still making enough profit to make me comfortable. I don't know. Do you have any questions so far? Any comments? So, I had already shown you a preview of the template. I'll still go back there. Let me still go back there. So, what we did in this template is to put formulas to help you calculate your selling price. So, if you have you for each, if you look below, you can copy the or duplicate the page. And so for each Excel sheet, you can put one product. So the first one is waffles, the second one is red velvet. You can put the next one to be dark forest, and so on and so forth. So on each Google Excel sheet, list your ingredients and write the amounts you use for the recipe. Then you're going to calculate your unit price for each one. Yes, you have to use a calculator to calculate that. So if this is 190 grams, and I have seen that this cost of per unit is how much for 1 gram. So this total amount used, and this is my unit cost. And so that means that for my flour, for my waffles, I'm going to use 247 nairas worth of flour. The next thing, my sugar, my baking powder. And can you see, surprisingly, the most expensive thing you have here is your flavor. So something that we think, oh, it's negligible, can actually be the one that is even more expensive. You need to do your costing right. So, okay. So you can now. This is now your total ingredients cost. Then, how are you packing your product? So, for example, if you're taking it to an event, you are not packing it, so you may decide not to put packaging cost. But if you are going to use a box because you're sending it to a customer or they're coming to pick up, you need to put the cost of that per batch in here. Your labor hours, you write your labor hours and your rates, and then we can help you calculate the labor cost. You have calculated what your utility costs are because for 2 hours, how much utility are you going to use? So this is your total for the batch. This is your total cost. So can you see that for your ingredients, it was only 2,000 naira, but by the time you added all the other costs, it became 6,000 naira, almost times three. And that's actually a rule of thumb. If you are a bit lazy about these calculations, what we also do is whatever your ingredient cost is, right? Times three is the first thing you cost. So that you are costing for salary or labor cost, you are costing for utilities. So it's times three. After you have calculated that, you now put your markup, that is your profit. So 2001 times three is just your, in fact, it's funny that this came out, this amount is actually, it wasn't planned that it's times three. But actually, if you're lazy, that's what we do. When I'm a bit rushed or I'm lazy, it's times three. Once I'm sure of what my ingredient cost is, I multiply times three. Once I do that, I get what my break even point is, not my profit. And then I can now put my markup. So I'll give an example also. You can put a higher markup on a wedding cake than a birthday cake. So a wedding cake, your markup you can put 50%, 60%, 70% because normally for wedding cakes, people expect you to charge them higher. Even if it's a three-tier wedding cake or a three-tier birthday cake, they expect you to charge a wedding cake higher than a birthday cake. But we bakers know it's the same ingredients, it's the same amount of icing sugar, but people expect you to charge higher when it's a wedding cake. So remember that depending on the products you are selling, your markup can be much higher or lower. So for your desserts too, your markup can be a bit high because people expect it to be a bit expensive. So this template is also what we'll send to you so that you can play around with it. And by the time you have put your markup, so here I said my markup here was just 10%. And then calculated my selling price for my waffles for one person as 728 naira, which means per person, I made a profit of 66 naira on each person. So if I'm doing for 10 people, that means I made a profit of 660 naira. So this template will actually really help. So let me go back to PowerPoint slides and see if there's anything else. So just from some few tips that we need to remember, please always remember to update your costs regularly. Remember that our cost prices change. The amount of money you buy flour today may not be what you buy in a month's time. So remember to update your cost and check if prices have changed. Please go back and recalculate so that you know what your profit should be or what your selling price should be. Also, please try to remember not to underprice. I know it's not always easy, but if you know what your minimum is, I mean, it doesn't really make much business sense to make a loss. You at least have to break even, minimum. You at least have to break even. So don't underprice. And you can use the template every time. So what we'll do is we will have to send the link. How do we send the link to them? We can't, so but that means I need to send. Okay, let's see how we'll send you. We'll need to send you the link to the I'll stop sharing now so I can go back and see if I can send you the link to the template. Or should they send us their emails? I will send it to them. Hmm. No, they're not with us. Okay. Just hold on. Let me see if I can. Okay. I think we'll send you the link of a Google Drive so that you can easily download it. Just give me a minute. Let me try and do that. Mm, okay, this is going to take a bit a bit of time. I forgot I was supposed to load it on my drive so that I can send you the link on the chat. I haven't done that. I know I'm not muted. I know. Okay, what I would like to know, all everybody that is here, are you all on my class? Are you on my class? If you are, I can send the template to you in another 10 minutes and leave it there for at least till tomorrow so that you can select, you can download it. Okay, so anyone will be preferable. Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll put it on our group, on our class group. In another 10 minutes, I'll put the template for people to download. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being Bola. Thank you, Olulade, Belo, Coimburo. Yes, I think I remember your name. Thank you so much for coming and joining me on the live group. And please, can everybody please try and finish their course. Go through it and ask us questions so that we can help you while we're still active on the group. I have one of my students who did she had this class and she did hers on Saturday. I'm actually going to ask her for her feedback. So waiting. I'm really excited. I really want to see people, you know, using the class. It's actually very easy, very simple and easy to use, to attend, to try it out. All right, so we'll see you back in our class. Thank you so much for coming this evening. Any more questions? Is there any question before I go? Okay. We'll just wait for 5 minutes. If you have any questions, please put it in the comment section. Okay, since there's no question, anything else? No questions. Mm. All right, so we're going to end the live class. But if you still have any more questions, we're always on the Telegram group. All right, so please have a lovely night and we'll see you in class. All right, bye bye. Thank you.